What's happening, MJ traders and investors? It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. It is Saturday, February 10th. Hope you're doing awesome and hope you're having a great weekend so far. In this video, we're going to do another rapid fire news update edition for February 3rd to February 9th. And again, this isn't to go into deep dive details. It's just a high level overview of all the pertinent information that transpired over the last week or so. Try to keep these videos around 10 to 15 minutes in length, but it was another busy week, so we'll try to keep this one under 20 minutes. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff, and you'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. Also, you can give us a follow over on X, which is formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. I'm going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So like I said, there was a lot of news, so we're just going to hop right to it. MJ Biz reports that Israel's new rules might spur growth in medical MJ industry, and this comes after we see tons of European progress as well, with Germany expected to come online as soon as April 1st, the first pillar, and then we should start to see the second pillar at some point in 2025. But I think 2024 and 2025 are going to be massive years for the MJ industry, and Israel being, another important market, but that's going to be very beneficial for most of the licensed producers, in my opinion. Germany as well, but we know Curaleaf also has a pretty big hand in the German market as well. Also, Trulieve MJ Corp to hold fourth quarter and full year 2023 results and conference call on February 29th, 2024. So we'll keep an eye out on that. So earnings season kicking off now. We had a bunch of other earnings, Aurora, Canopy, to name a few, and we'll discuss a few others here in just a moment. MJ use doesn't increase car crash risk, but drinking alcohol does, new study finds. So again, this is medicine of the future. This is still, stigmatized. It's still on the same list as heroin. So we're going to see more and more studies, more and more research once we start to get rescheduling and then ultimately descheduling, which I think is the most likely scenario. And so does Elizabeth Warren, apparently. We'll mention that here in a moment as well. I've done a video on that, but got some more on that here in just a moment. But I've always been, kind of curious how are they going to police this, because, some people take MJ for medicine, right? They take it for medicinal purposes, and they're almost better off driving while using MJ, while some other people just shouldn't do it at all, right? It's it depends on the person, right? And it depends on your tolerance. Did you just start smoking weed yesterday? But I don't really agree with this. I don't think anybody should be driving under the influence unless you're like using it for medical purposes. And then someone who's been smoking MJ for 20 years who doesn't really feel the original effects that they used to, someone who's been smoking for 20 years would probably tell you that, the first week that they started smoking MJ, 20 years ago, they would never dare dream of driving a vehicle, and way different 20 years later or something like that, depending on your tolerance. But rule of thumb, just don't drive under the influence of any kind of mind altering substances. So rescheduling coalition spokesman predicts that DEA announcement will come by the end of March, and this kind of is basically what I've been saying. I thought Q1 Q2 of 2024. The charts are pointing it to it as well. If we take a look at the tea leaves, what the charts are saying we're going to see massive upside over the next couple of months. Realistically, anytime between now and April. And we also have 420 coming up. That aligns with Germany rolling out full-blown legalization as well in adult use, and could see some safer banking updates as well. And then we have some updates with regards to the Canadian MJ Act review here as well. So I do think that the most likely scenario is we get at some point between March and April. Curaleaf International acquires Can4 Med, expanding presence in Poland's growing medical MJ market. And I did a video on this one for specifics, so if you wanted to check that out in more detail, you can do so. Also did a video on this one, Jones Soda, Mary Jones Soda, Tilray partnership will bring Mary Jones MJ drinks to Canada. And they said that they were working on other edibles and things like that as well, other categories. So again, I did a specific video on that. You can check that out for more details on that, my thoughts and opinions. Also, Canada's MJ law review on schedule for spring release. This is what I've been saying for a while now as well. And again, right in the spring, right around that April, May, it's looking like this is all lining up to be one explosive few months ahead. And like I said, I think we're going to see the bear market confirmed over. We're going to see it's going to be confirmed as over in 2024. And then in 2025, I think we're going to see massive upside, and MJ could be the best performing sector globally, in my opinion. Going to be tons of spotlight on it. Struggling MJ company MedMen shutters 2 stores in Northern California. And then they also there's also an article here from MJ Business Daily that said MJ brand MJ brands and ex-employees say that MedMen owes them thousands. So not a good look for MedMen right now. Stock was I think it's still halted. So again, a lot of people are asking me about MedMen. I don't really cover it. Like I said, I think that there's some reward there potentially if they can pull things together. I wouldn't be holding my breath though. It's way less than 5% of my MJ portfolio, and the money that I put into it, I'm okay if it goes to zero. I'm not, do I think it's going to go to zero? Maybe. Actually, it potentially could. So I don't even really look at it, pay attention. I've just put a little bit of money into it. What I consider a little bit of money. I'd never invest any more than $1,000 personal money into this thing, and if it goes to zero, the most I could lose is $1,000, right? Everybody's different, but I wouldn't be putting your whole life savings into MedMen. It's just not worth the risk, especially when there's so many other great companies out there. So I take that YOLO approach. Maybe put $500 to $1,000 in, and not again, never financial advice, never ever buy or sell anything based on anything that I say. But I think the only way to play MedMen would be to take a YOLO position, put $500, $1,000. The max is that I would put in is $1,000. Nowhere near 5% of my MJ portfolio, and then I just let it sit and never touch it again. Either it goes to zero and I'm wrong and I lose $500 or $1,000, or it goes back to all-time highs, and that could turn into thousands and thousands of dollars, right? So that's how I'm playing it. I'm not really paying too much attention to it other than that fact. Florida Senate advances 30% THC potency cap on adult use MJ. So there was some talks about putting a cap at 10% or something like that. I just laughed out loud. I was like, oh my God, lol, I can't even look at this article. I can't even read it. It's so stupid. And then they come out with a 30% THC potency cap on adult use MJ. Okay, that's a little bit more. I can get behind that. Sure. As long as you legalize it at the adult use level, I can get behind that. Let's do it. And that's something that could happen as well. We should see that by April 1st as well. So you see how all of the stars are aligning right into the springtime, right? And then it should be enacted into 2025. Again, another reason why I think MJ is going to be the best performing sector over the next couple of years, and specifically in 2025 as big tech and most crypto more than likely starts to enter a multi-year bear market. So I'm excited for the rest of 2024 and 2025 in MJ land. It's going to be awesome. Smash a like if you're excited. Biden administration official disputes rumors of imminent MJ scheduling decision and heightened speculation. Amid swirling rumors about the possibility of an imminent MJ policy announcement from the White House, a Biden administration official told MJ Moment on Tuesday that they've waved off speculation. And I see tons of things going around, different people on X, on Twitter, formerly Twitter, saying that, this is going to happen soon. And just stop listening to people on X. Stop listening to people on Twitter. How do they know? Unless it's straight from the horse's mouth, who cares? We know it's coming eventually, right? Why do you don't need to time the exact market. If you're not a day trader, you don't need to worry about timing. As long as you buy and hold, it doesn't matter. Time is irrelevant. You just need to hold long enough and be patient long enough. Like Warren Buffett says, the stock market is a mechanism from transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. So personally, I don't care. I don't pay attention to, random people or even people who claim to be, specialists or to have insider information. First of all, if they have insider information, that's very dangerous, and they should be, they could be facing jail time. So I just question that. So unless it's coming from a reputable source, or, I don't even really care about reputable sources anymore. I don't care. I've been in a bear market now longer than we've been in bull markets, right? MJ has been in a brutal bear market for 3 years. Who cares if I have to wait another year? Who cares if I have to wait 5 years, right? I'm not selling now after 3 years of, brutal MJ dollar cost averaging and a brutal bear market. So who cares if it's next month, the next year, 4 years from now? My game plan remains the same. Buy on the cheap, sell whenever things get crazy high and whenever the US deschedules and legalizes. That's all, right? So just try not to follow the herd and get caught up in it's happening soon and it's imminent. No, it'll happen when it happens. Who cares, right? Just buy the dip. Again, not telling you to buy, sell or hold, but I'll just buy the dip. And if you give me crazy low prices again, I'll buy it. I'll buy more. And otherwise, I'll just hold until I'm financially enticed to sell, right? It's not that difficult. Yes, you can trade the MJ industry. I don't think it's worth trading right now. I think time in the market is better than timing the market. And it just goes to show you whenever everybody's imminent and getting all thrown off by this prediction that it's soon or imminent, it just goes to show that you're trying to time the market. And history shows that if you try to time something, especially when we're in the bottom of a brutal bear market down 99% from all-time highs, time in the market's better than trying to time the market, right? So, if you're if you're looking at you're looking at big tech stocks, maybe timing the market's better. You probably don't want to be time in the market unless you're short and you're betting that the prices are going to go down. Right? You don't want to, like, imagine when February 2021 highs, or when MJ was at all-time highs. Well, okay, yes, MJ is probably going to be higher 5 years from now as we get reform in the US and around the world, but you're probably going to drop 50, 60, 70, 80% plus, right? So time in the market then wasn't the best, but when we're down 99% from all-time highs at all-time lows, 52-week lows, time in the market is better, right? Just buy and hold. Like later on, when we get in a euphoric blow-off top moment in bull market, then look to time the market, right? Especially if you're somebody who doesn't go short. New study shows that MJ compounds like cannabinoids, terpenes, and flavonoids interact for medical benefits. So what are you saying? That this shouldn't be the same as heroin? We shouldn't be on Schedule 1? Sure sounds like it to me. It's just kind of asinine, the amount of lack of policy advancement that we've seen in the US, but over 5 years legal at the federal level here in Canada. So Canada's first of the G7, first to really kind of pave the way and show people how it's done, right? Also, the Cannabis company to report fourth quarter and full year 2023 results on March 13th as earnings season continues. Also, moreover, on earnings, we have Organogram reporting first quarter fiscal 2024 results on February 13th, 2024. And I still get a lot of people saying, like, oh, what's this mean first quarter? Like, we're in, just remember it's fiscal, right? So some companies have different fiscal year ends, and, it doesn't actually mean what quarter we're in right now all the time, right? It could be a completely different quarter that we're in, calendar quarter versus fiscal quarter, right? Some companies have different year ends. MediPharm Labs achieves pharmaceutical GMP Good Manufacturing Practices certification with the Brazilian Health Authority. So good news for them. Curaleaf Select brand expands portfolio with launch of Select Stick. So this is a all-in-one MJ oil vape. So excited to try this. I haven't tried it, but can't wait to try some of Curaleaf's products. They're definitely they're my second biggest holding, and I think they're going to be one of the biggest MJ companies out there. But kind of reminds me something similar to, I really like the new Back 40 vapes from Oxley. I've been buying those a lot lately. You can recharge them as well, so they're pretty cool. You can check those out. Charlotte's Web Holdings, Inc. announces appointment of former Ben & Jerry's CEO Matthew E. McCarthy to its board of directors. So great for them as they look to turn the ship around, because it's been brutal. I remember once upon a time, Charlotte's Web was just soaring, and it seemed like it would never ever come down, and now not immune to the market weakness, but should be a nice turnaround candidate, in my opinion, nice CPG in CBD. German pharma Avextra AG hits 100 million euro valuation after capital raise. I think they raised 20 million euros, in the past 18 months. So, we're starting to see Germany ramp up, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities, not even just from the public perspective, right? There's tons of public companies, yes, but there's going to be lots of opportunity in the private sector as well. Also, Pennsylvania governor calls on legislature to legalize adult use cannabis. And again, they have Florida potentially coming online, Pennsylvania. Like, there's so many catalysts, it's not even funny. Also did a video on this as well. You can check it out. Senator Elizabeth Warren advocates for MJ descheduling on The Late Show. During an appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Senator Elizabeth Warren discussed the push to deschedule cannabis fully rather than moving it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the Controlled Substances Act. And in that video, I go over my thoughts and opinions, but it's kind of funny. She dodged the question about being high. He's like, and number two, are you high? And she didn't ask the second question, but there's two ways to get there, right? I always say there's often more than one way to get to the number 4. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. You can do 3 plus 1. You can do 2 plus 2, right? You can do 3.5 plus a half, right? All gets to 4. There's usually multiple pathways to get there, and everybody and their dog thought that, the U.S. is never going to legalize at the federal level for 5, 10. It might never happen. But a lot of people didn't consider the fact that we could see descheduling, which effectively is legalization, right? So you can either get there through Congress, or you can get there through the administrative branch, which we're starting to see the rescheduling review underway, where we could potentially get to Schedule 3 or be descheduled altogether. I got so many tabs open. It's not even funny on this. I think I just closed that right tab, but so many tabs open on these news videos rapid fire news updates that I kind of get lost sometimes. So Aurora MJ announces fiscal 2024 third quarter results, generated record adjusted EBITDA of 4.3 million, and they also expanded with Australian acquisition. So they acquired MedRelief Australia. So they're putting a big bet on medical, but the losses did continue. I don't really follow Aurora. Canopy had earnings as well. I don't really follow their earnings too much because it's going to be a long time, right? It's going to be at least 2025, 2026 before we see any kind of real profitability with those companies, and the losses are just going to continue, in my opinion. And it doesn't happen overnight where you just somehow get rid of hundreds of millions of dollars in losses, right? So even as they right size, even if they become asset light and focus more, so again, Aurora is going to be focusing more on the medical side of things, right? And you got like Organogram, 100% MJ play. You got Canopy, which is getting, they're looking at CUSA, so Canopy USA, they're starting to focus more on that. And Acreage, they're going to be more of a merger and acquisition. They have their stores in Bickle, so the ancillary type of parts of their business as well. And then you got Tilray and SNDL into retail, and High Tide into retail, but only retail. SNDL being into MJ retail and alcohol retail, Tilray being into craft brewing. So you can start to see the differentiation of these companies, right? And they're all kind of starting to focus on their own little segments of the industry, which is great to see, in my opinion. You don't need 1,000 people doing the same thing, right? Also, South Carolina senators square off over a medical MJ legalization bill on chamber floor. But yeah, just before I continue on, I'll start to pay more attention to their financials once they start to really turn things around, right? Aurora, Canopy. We're starting to see the LP start to kind of squeeze towards profitability. Even High Tide's getting close to it, but it's going to be a little bit while longer. And until that happens, I'm not too concerned about their financials at the moment. Congressional researchers say lack of banking access makes MJ businesses heavily reliant on cash and targets of crime. So absolutely, this is something I've been saying for a while now, and they're going to continue to use that as a way to get something done on Capitol Hill to get big banks involved and start to get safer banking and uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ and access to traditional financial markets, right? And keep in mind that the big banks and the financial institutions, Wall Street, JP Morgan's, Morgan Stanley's, they're going to want to position first before we get descheduling. So that could even happen. You have to keep in mind that safer banking could happen, get them positioned, and then we get descheduling, right? And then the floodgates open up like you wouldn't even believe. Also, IIPR, Innovative Industrial Properties, to report 2023 fourth quarter and year-end results. So again, that's another example of the fiscal year ends, right? So that's going to be on Monday, February 26th, 2024, this year. Congressman demands answers from DEA on MJ rescheduling review. So this was Earl Blumenauer, which is set to retire, I think, at the end of this year. We want answers. We want an update. We don't want to hear soon. We don't want to hear imminent. We just want an update. So once we get an update from the DEA, then we can talk about it. But I don't think there's any need to say it's soon, it's imminent. Who cares? It'll be here when it's here. And the fact that people are getting this up in arms over it and this foaming at the mouth and just at the edge of their seat just shows me that people are lacking patience. You're doing exactly the opposite of what Warren Buffett has said for many decades now, that the stock market is a mechanism for transferring wealth to the impatient to the patient. So whenever I see all these people freaking out that it's not happening it's not happening soon, it's not happening imminently, what are these people doing? I can't believe they lost all credibility. It's well, you're just showing that you're not patient, right? You don't need to be fed hopium all the time. Just shut that stuff off, that noise. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you're early, and we're so early it's not even funny. So we have so much to be excited about. We don't need somebody coming on X or whoever, even if they're somewhat reputable. We don't need somebody filling us hopium. There's enough to be excited about. We don't need some random person on X saying that something's happening soon or imminently, or even somebody in Congress. If they're saying the DEA is going to happen soon or imminently, this decision, until the DEA comes out, that's when I'll pay attention, right? And until then, it's just noise. MJ MSO AYR, so Air Wellness, completes debt extension and raises $40 million. So this one of the companies that started weekly consolidation this week, a little bit weaker after being one of the strongest initially. So that's a little bit of a clue that we could see weekly consolidation on a lot of names in the sector. And Canadian names starting weekly consolidation as well, so definitely weaker than the U.S. counterparts. Momentum builds in Hawaii to legalize adult use MJ as foes mobilize. So again, game theory playing out. Canopy shakes up board, reports a $216 Canadian million loss on lower MJ sales. And there's still going to be, like I said, getting rid of BioSteel and all these high debt. A lot of these parts of their business that were contributing to massive losses. It's going to take a while for those to really start to start to see things really start to turn around. But still a big loss, dwindling MJ sales. They did have some positivity, in the reports, but they beat in terms of revenue estimates, but they had a huge miss in terms of EPS and loss and earnings per share. So again, not too concerned about their financials until maybe 2025, 2026. And then again, this is a name that's less than 10% of my portfolio. There's lots of reward, but there's lots of risk. So I would never allocate any more than 10% of my MJ portfolio, and I'm just letting it ride. I don't care. I'm not selling it. I will sell it when I'm financially enticed to do so. And Cannabis is going to be a big beneficiary of the U.S. market if we get descheduling. They acquire Acreage and all these other brands they have, Wana and Jetty, and they're going to see tons of upside. And just on a DEA announcement headline, Cannabis could skyrocket 100-200%. Look what happened whenever the HHS recommendation came out, went up almost 5x, right? 500% in a very short period of time. Why MJ regulation makes sense from Richard Branson. So this is another cool article as well. So again, you got multiple countries, multiple celebrities, you got multiple world leaders, entrepreneurs, companies, Apple, Amazon, Uber, all backing federal legalization. Like, this is our time. The time is now. This is different. This time is definitely different. And I'm confident this year and 2025 are going to be years to remember. Vice President Kamala Harris claims administration changed federal MJ policy while using incorrect map of the state legalization laws. So a lot of people speculation in a new video there was basically telling everybody to vote for them again in the 2024 elections, and started talking about all their accomplishments. And then in there they said that we changed federal MJ policy. So a lot of people are saying like, oh, is that kind of a foreshadowing event? Did they mean to say that? Did they say the wrong thing? Again, it's all speculation. Who cares? We know it's going to happen eventually, and until it happens, there's no really need to speculate. Just buy the dip. But again, that's what I do. Not telling you to do it, but I just buy blood on the streets, and then I wait for multiple years in some cases, and I sell the highs, right? It's like when I was buying Tesla, when nobody wanted to buy that in 2018, I was telling my friend, anything under, anything around $100, $150, and this is before all their splits, is a screaming buy. And then I sold Tesla at the highs, and then, I know people that bought it at all-time highs are now down like 50%, 60% on it, right? So again, once everything becomes known to the masses, you're probably too late. Also, Virginia House approves MJ sales bill on initial vote with final passage expected next week as Senate considers separate plan. So, wow. It's hard to fathom how much news actually happens in the run of a week. And this video definitely longer than the normal. And I expected that. But again, this is just me cherry picking all the major news pieces. And there's so many things I didn't even cover. So there's so much that goes on in the run of a week. I'm so excited for the rest of the year, next year, and what the future has in store for us. But going to end there. If you enjoyed this video today, smash like. I would appreciate it. Share with your network. It's Rob with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. We'll see you again in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.